Algebra 1 Fall Semester Exam Review, Part 1. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, and I'll probably do at least 2 problems per section. All right, let's get started with number 1. Solve each equation. Okay, so basically we are going to be performing math operations, combining like terms, and then solving for the variable. In this case, we have s. So the very first thing I encounter is we have this negative or minus sign right up next to parentheses. That is actually a -1 that needs to be distributed into the parentheses. So we have this and this. Okay, we draw our wall here, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute that and rewrite the problem. So I have 7s, and then -1 times s is minus s. -1 times the -6 makes it positive 6. On the right side, I still have 42. Now we want to go ahead and keep going. Before I move anything across the wall, I can combine terms. So 7s minus s gives me 6s plus 6 equals 42. All right. Now let's go ahead and move this 6 to the other side with opposite math. -6 minus 6. And then we have 42 minus 6. 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36. So we're almost done. We have 6s equals 36. Divide both sides by 6, and you get s equals 6. You can plug that back into the equation to make sure you did it right. But I want to point out, these are problems that you can end-solve. If you remember how to do end-solve. We could check the answer that way. I don't want to because of time restrictions, but I will remind you how to get to end-solve. Actually, what I might do, let's pick a different problem and let's do it with end-solve, okay? And then I'll do it by hand really quickly, just so you have it both ways. So I'm going to go ahead and go to menu, 2, and then let's see, maybe it's not 2. Oh, it's, you know it's not 2. Menu, 3, 2. 3, 1, numerical solve. Menu 3, 1. Sorry, I always hunt around in the menus to find the right thing. So in solve, I'm going to type in the entire thing. Even the b, I don't have to change it to x. I can use b. So negative 4b minus 5 plus 2b equal sign 10. I'm not done yet. Okay, first I check to make sure everything's right. Notice this is a long looking minus sign, but that is indeed a negative sign. It's in front, it's not between two terms, so we treat that like a negative sign. Very important. Okay, when I get everything entered in, I hit comma, and I tell the calculator what I'm solving for, which is b. I'd hit enter, and that's my answer. Okay, negative 7.5. All right, so there's 2 ways to do those problems. I'm just for time constraints, since you can do that in the calculator, let's move on to sections where we can't do it all in the calculator. Write an equation to model each situation, then solve the equation that you wrote. Okay, so number 7 says you work 4 hours on Saturday and 8 hours on Sunday. You receive a $50 bonus. You earn $164. How much did you earn per hour? Okay, so 4 hours on Saturday, 8 hours on Sunday. You also received a $50 bonus. This is how much we made in all. How much did you earn per hour? All right, now we learned whenever you see the word per, each, or every in a word problem, usually it's talking about the slope. Okay, and that is also the case here. In other words, you're looking for the slope. Okay, so if we have a situation with an independent and dependent variable, our independent variable is the number of hours we work, right? Our dependent variable is the money we made. The money you make depends on how long you work. Well, here's what's interesting. We know how long we worked. We worked 4 hours and 8 hours, which is a total of 12 hours. So we know how long we worked. We also know how much we made. Okay? Where does this $50 bonus come into play? This is a one-time amount of money that we received. Okay? So if we put together our y equals mx plus b equation, we have the $50 bonus we earned once, or that we received once as a bonus. We have the money we earned, that is our y, our dependent. Okay? And we even know how many hours we worked in total. What we don't know is our slope. Okay? So since these numbers are multiplied together, we have to get the m by itself. All right? So if I do, actually once you have this set up, you could end solve if you want to. But let's go ahead and do it for practice. We have the 164. We're going to subtract 50 from both sides. So 164 minus 50 will be 114. So we end up with 114 equals the money we're making per hour times 12. So if I do 114 divided by 12, I know how much I'm making per hour. Okay, convert that to a decimal, $9.50 per hour. That was a little bit of a tricky one. Number 8, online concert tickets cost $37 each. Okay, there's per each and every again. Plus a service charge of $8.50 per ticket. There's per each and every again, per ticket. So there's actually, these numbers probably need to be added together. Okay, we'll see in just a second. The website also charges a fee of $14.99 for the purchase. That's a one-time fee. No matter how many tickets you buy, you're paying this amount one time. So we have the M value when we add these together. We have our B value, and we have our total amount of money we paid. This would be our Y value. It's kind of the same setup that we have here, except it's not hours we're working, it's actually X in this case is number of tickets. TIX, T-I-X is a short abbreviation, and Y is the money we pay in this case. Okay? So, with our pattern, y equals mx plus b, we know how much we paid total, $242.49. Okay, we know how much we paid per ticket. It's $37 plus $8.50. So let's add those together. Okay, $37 plus $8.50, $45.50. Okay, we don't know how many tickets we bought. That's the X. Y equals mx plus b. We do know our one-time fee of $14.99. Once you get that equation, you could end solve, like I said before. Okay, let's go ahead and solve it doing the process just for practice. Okay, I need to get the X by itself. So this is added, opposite is subtraction. So I'm subtracting $14.99 from each side. So I'm putting in $242.49 minus $14.99, okay? I get $227.50. So that's over here, right? So Since I'm not doing number 9, I'm going to go and use a space. Okay, now what do I do next? I have $45.50 times x. The opposite would be divide both sides by that $45.50. And I already have this number in the calculator, so it's really easy. Divided by $45.50. And you get not $5, it's 5 tickets, the number of tickets you bought. That's the answer to that one. Okay, let's go to the next section. Solve for the variable indicated. Okay, so we have a few different ones here. These are on the formula chart. This is in point slope form. They give you the slope, and then you insert the x value of the point here. Remember how the sign changes because that minus is part of the formula. And then the y value of the point, you put it here, and the sign changes because of that minus. Remember that? So you don't even have to remember this is on the formula chart, but the fact is it is on the formula chart. That's where you've seen this equation before, the point slope formula. Now this looks very hard. It's in fact very easy. Because if you can apply what you've learned about factors recently, factors are things that are multiplied together. This m is a factor. And this entire x minus x1 in parentheses, that is all a factor. You can treat it like one multiplied entity. And since you need to solve for m, you can also divide that entire entity away in one single step. Okay? All this stuff in parentheses divided by itself cancels to 1. Now you can do that as long as you do it on both sides. Okay? And you do right here. So what do you have? You have m all by itself. M is equal to what? Y minus y of 1 over x minus x of 1, which you probably find familiar because that's the formula for finding slope. This was also on one of our previous tests, so you may remember it from that. Okay, that's it. You could switch the whole thing around and put m equals y minus y of 1 over x minus x of 1. This was also on a test. Okay, this is the formula for volume. You don't have to know that. All you have to know is how to find what they want you to get by itself, move everything else to the other side of the equal sign. So, V equals LWH. These are all multiplied together, just like this one. The opposite of multiply is divide. And again, you can do it all in one step. I want H by itself. I'm dividing away the LW on both sides. Guess what? That cancels. H is by itself. And I'm done. V over LW. All right? Keep in mind, when you're doing this stuff, remember your math opposites. The opposite of adding is subtracting. That's the opposite math you do to get across the equal sign. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. Okay? That's all I'm doing. Okay, the next section, solve for y. This is not something you can in-solve because you're dealing now with more than one variable. You're not even getting an answer. You're just getting y by itself on one side and everything else on the other side. So we use the exact same math rules I just said, opposites. Okay, so here's my y. Here's all my stuff for the y. Remember, the stuff that's closest I call the best friend. It leaves last. So you get rid of everything else. This 8x, the opposite of a positive 8x is a negative 8x. So do minus 8x on both sides. Okay. These are not like terms, so I write them side by side. Now if you recognize that you could put this 8x in front, like a minus 8x plus 20, and you want to to look like y equals mx plus b, that is great. But you don't have to. In fact, I'm not going to, I'm going to show it the most direct way. But if you recognize that you can put it in this form, that's great. Okay, so I move my minus 8x over, okay? And what do I have left? I still have my minus 2y. I have to divide both sides by this negative 2. Remember, it's the entire other side. So I have y by itself, and I do my division. 20 divided by negative 2 is negative 10. Negative 8 divided by negative 2 is positive 4. And that is what contains the x. That is my answer. You could have the order change, but that's the answer. All right, number 5. 7x plus 9y equals 36. Again, here's my wall. Whatever's attached to the y, I don't deal with now. I deal with whatever is not attached to the y. Minus 7x, minus 7x. This time I'll go ahead and write it in my y equals mx plus b form. I recognize that this looks like my mx term, so I'm going to go ahead and write it first. Negative 7x. This 36 is positive, so I put plus 36. What do I have here? 9y. Okay, I need to divide both sides by 9. So I get a fraction here, and that's okay. Negative 7/9 x. That is my slope, negative 7/9. 36 divided by 9 is 4, so plus 4. That's the answer for that one. Okay? Let's go to the next page. The perimeter P of a rectangle L, the perimeter P of a rectangle with length L and width W can be represented by the equation P equals 2L plus 2W. Here's a visual for you. 2 lengths plus 2 widths gives you the perimeter or distance around the rectangle. Solve the equation for W. So I'm solving for that. Let's do it. It's all the same that we've been doing on all these problems. Opposite math. There's my 2L. He's positive. I'm moving him over here. He's going to be negative. These guys are not like terms, so I'm going to put P minus 2L equals 2W. All right? I need to divide by 2 on both sides. All right? So that cancels, and this is what I end up with. Okay? Now, if you think of this, this is P divided by 2. Well, what number's in front of the P? 1P, right? So I could simplify that by writing it 1/2 P. That's 1 over 2 with the P multiplied to it, right? Now what's negative 2 over 2? That reduces to 1. So that becomes 1/2 P minus 1L, or just minus L. Okay? This is mathematically fine, but it's not simplified. This is simplified. Okay, and what does it equal to? It equals W. All right, number 8. Solve each inequality. Remember, inequalities are the same as equations. The difference is when you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality sign. The other difference is inequalities are not talking about the line, they're talking about above or below the line. Sometimes it includes the line if you have the equal portion with your inequality. Okay? So let's solve for C. We're going to distribute this 6 in. We get 6C minus 6 is less than negative 18. Here's my wall. Let's get C by itself. Opposite of minus C is plus C on both sides. Negative 18 plus, I'm sorry, I said plus C. It's plus 6 on both sides. Negative 18 plus 6 is going to be a smaller negative looking number, right? It's not really smaller, but it looks smaller, right? What's 18 minus 6? It is 12, so I get negative 12. Okay? So 6C is less than negative 12. When I divide by 6, I get C is less than negative 2. I did not flip my inequality because I did not divide by a negative. Let's see. Let's do this one with the fraction, since that just looks like the hardest other one we have on here. Okay. So I need to solve for y this time. Okay. So I have negative 6/7 y minus 6 is greater than or equal to 42. Opposite of subtracting 6 is adding 6. 42 plus 6 is 48. So I get negative 6/7 y is greater than or equal to 48. Now here's what has to happen. I have to divide both sides by negative 6/7. You can do it the middle school way where you flip the fraction, but really easier is just put in 48, divide it by the fraction negative 6/7. Control divide, negative 6/7, just like that. You get negative 56. Now, one thing you have to remember, I divided by negative, so I flip my inequality. So I get less than or equal to negative 56, okay? We're hitting over 20 minutes here on this video, so we're going to stop and we'll go to part 2 on the next video.